Good morning. Is that Mike Rykoff? All the emails coming in. Good morning. Is that Mike Rykoff? Mike R?
Hey, Colleen, this is Mike Ralph with Sound Community Bank.
Oh, great. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. So are you going to be joining us today and kind of talking about the different products you guys have?
I think so. I think Dave Rainey is going to be on the call as well. We're kind of,
Okay.
yeah, I think, thanks for inviting us, even late notice, but.
Sorry about that. So do you have any like slides or anything, or do you want to share your screen to show, just in a written format what they are? Or you certainly don't have to. I don't know that others are going to do that, or you could put a link in the chat box.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything formally to share. We'll just kind of talk for a couple minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay. Okay.
It was something that Craft 3 had requested and kind of put together and said she wanted to invite some folks. And then I was surprised that, well, both Sound and Kitsap weren't invited. So I contacted you yesterday.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. So since this is coffee with Colleen, I'm gonna go grab some coffee real quick, and I just want to make sure my connection worked okay. So.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Start the recording, and good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us, and we've got 6 folks that are going to talk to us about different loan programs today. And so if each of you would introduce yourselves and share a little bit about the organization you work for, and then move into the loan products that you think are unique and might be of value to business members, I'd really appreciate it. So we'll start with Melissa Lafayette from the National Development Council.
Awesome. Hi, Colleen and group. My name is Melissa Lafayette, and I'm with the National Development Council. Actually, can I share my screen?
Yes, let me.
I don't know if I have the, let's see.
Now you should.
Okay. All right. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
So I'm with the National Development Council, or NDC. NDC is actually a national nonprofit organization. Our headquarters is in New York City, but our staff work all over the country in various areas around economic development finance. So we do a lot of affordable housing finance using federal low-income housing tax credits. We do new market tax credits. We do a lot of small business lending, which is why I'm here today. We do technical assistance for municipalities around economic development finance. And we also have a training program where we teach practitioners economic development and housing development finance. So I'm based in Seattle, though by the end of the day, I'll be based out of Wenatchee in Central Washington. But we have a team of 4 other individuals working out of our Seattle office. A few years ago, NDC took over the Coastal Communities Loan Fund, which was actually started in the 80s with the spotted owl protections. So the Federal Economic Development Administration provided a grant to the Washington State Department of Commerce to start a revolving loan fund to provide small business loans to sort of support the economy in these 5 counties on the Olympic Peninsula. A few years ago, NDC took that loan fund over from Commerce and are kind of trying to revive it. And so we have a loan program that's a little bit unique We can either do loans that are just straight up using the EDA funds, which have a lot of flexibility to them. NDC is also a SBA 7A lender, so we can do loans that are SBA 7A, which kind of allows us to leverage some of those EDA dollars. And in April, we started an emergency loan program in response to the pandemic, providing smaller loan amounts, but with kind of a streamlined and simplified underwriting process, with the goal of getting money into the hands of businesses as quickly as possible. So our other programs still exist, but right now we've been focusing on the emergency loans. So I can just provide a little bit of detail on the loans. They're just for working capital, so they can be used for anything that the business needs to get by during this time. There's a 7-year term on the loan. The interest rate is 2.44%. And there's a 6-month interest-only period that started out as a complete deferment. So that is an option as well, sort of depending on the need of the business. And as I said, the intent of the emergency loan program is to have a streamlined application and approval process. So rather than sort of going into, a super deep underwriting process, we're really looking at, is this business eligible? Were they profitable in 2019 before the pandemic? So could they have repaid this loan during normal times? Not even looking at really what's happening right now, because we know that things are crazy. And then trying to get things approved and funded as quickly as possible. We do require a personal guarantee on the loan and are just doing a blanket UCC filing on loans over $10,000. I'll just tell you briefly a little bit about the non-emergency loan program, so you can kind of see the difference and why the emergency loan program is unique. Again, non-emergency loans can also be used for working capital, but also for machinery and equipment, real estate acquisition, improvements, anything, most business needs. The term depends on the life of what's being financed. So 7 years typically for working capital, up to 25 years for real estate. And for tenant improvements, it would be for the life of the lease. The interest rate is a little bit higher than the emergency loan program. It's typically prime plus 1.5%, which is still pretty low right now. And again, similarly, personal guarantees and collateral are required for that program. Though per the EDA rules, we won't turn down a loan for lack of collateral. So it's not a strict requirement that there needs to be, that someone needs to own a home or have real estate attached to a loan. So who qualifies? We typically lend to existing businesses that have been around for at least a year, though, if they're on the cusp of that, we're often willing to make exceptions. So we don't really do much lending to true startup businesses. They have to be located in the 5 coastal counties that are listed on the first slide, of which one is Colleen County. And like I said, they need to be a viable business. So our emergency loan program isn't really intended to sort of bail out a business that was kind of already struggling before COVID. It's really for a business that was doing well, was healthy before COVID, just needs something to get by until things normalize a little bit. And they need to be current on their taxes. That's all I have. There's my contact information if you're interested in learning more. Or have any businesses that you think might be interested in this program. Always happy to talk to someone and get them an application. That is all I have.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Melissa. Does anyone have any questions for Melissa about the program that she presented? If not, there is contact information there for Melissa, and I'm sure she can respond to any questions you might have. So next up, thank you very much for joining us and presenting today, Melissa. Next up, we'll go to
Yeah, thank you.
Lindholm. Yeah, thank you. Erica Lindholm with Craft 3.
Thank you, Colleen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I am going to see if I can share my screen.
Okay.
That work? There we go.
Yes.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. Craft 3 is, for many of you already know, but we're similar to NDC, a nonprofit lending institution, but we are regional and serve Oregon and Washington, having 8 offices throughout the 2 states, one of which is in Port Angeles. And we've been around for 24 years, 25 years actually this year, and started in Pacific County, Washington, serving just rural, but have expanded over time to be serving both urban and rural locations throughout the 2-state region. The product that so we're still open for business with our regular products. Our business lending is available for loans between $25,000 up to $3 million. Our interest rates are higher than a bank. We're intended to be an alternative to when a business is not able to access bank financing. The difference is that, while you'll pay a higher interest rate with Craft 3, typically you can at least get the loan to get started. So we do work with startup businesses or businesses that have had struggles in the past, but specifically, but have a plan to reposition themselves. Specifically to address the pandemic, however, Craft 3, in partnership with the Clallam County Commissioners and Benjamin Phillips Fund, developed a business resilience loan product that is rolled out in some of its communities throughout the 2-state region, including Clallam County. This product is for loans similar to, as Melissa described, for businesses that were established prior to the pandemic, that were doing okay and just sort of, got hit in the face like the rest of all of us that did, and we're just needing to reposition, and found that either PPP or EIDL or some of the other grant programs available were not sufficient, or they weren't qualified. So the product specifically is for loans between $15,000 and $50,000, and the use of funds is very flexible. We ask you what you're using it for, so we can understand how it's being applied, and that it's being applied for repositioning, but it can be used for anything pretty much. Inventory, rent, payroll, business debt payments, cash reserves, to get through the slow season, etc. Investments are required, though, to be for repositioning in the post-COVID world. And like I said, the businesses that have applied and used this product so far have found that they were either ineligible for, or otherwise found that the SBA, EIDL, or PPP products were either not enough, they didn't qualify for enough, or they didn't qualify at all to make a difference. They also needed it for things that PPP might not cover. So the minimum eligibility requirements for this product are just being 2 years in business in Clallam County, having a net profit in 2019, a median personal credit score of 640 or more, and have to have obviously been negatively impacted by COVID. So the underwriting process is extremely abbreviated compared to our normal process. Typically, we're giving a credit decision in 3 days or less, and funding in within two weeks. Typically, less than a week. And I am trying to figure out how to get my slide to go to the next one, and it's not working. just a second here. There we go.
Erica, we did have a question from Lena.
Please.
She asks, is the net profit based on EBITDA?
No, it is for loans over 25,000, but for loans between 15 and 25,000, it's just plain net profit.
Okay. Also, what if it's a business that exists, but they're looking at expanding their processes? Is that something that Craft 3 can fund?
If it is in response to COVID, yes. We are unable to, if this was something that was planned prior to COVID hitting, these funds cannot be used for that, but our standard loan products, as I'm sure NDCs and other. Whoops. Any other questions until I just
Nope.
quickly summarize? Okay. So again, the loan sizes are 15 to 50,000, 5% fixed for the life of the loan, and the total term is 48 months. So the first 3 months after closing are fully deferred. The interest does not accrue, nor does it, obviously there are no payments. Interest starts to accrue, and we request interest only payments for the next 3 months, and then the balance of the loan is paid off over the remaining 42 months. So there is a 2% net loan fee that is just net from the loan proceeds, and there's no prepayment penalty. And so, if you access other funds or find, after the crisis is over and get through the through your down period, we are happy to take your money back. So this is really intended to support businesses that, as I said, have been a staple in our Clallam County community, have just need an extra supplement to get through the crisis. There's a lot of other products out there before, and I think the message is we're trying to make sure we're filling all the gaps for you. And with that, and to get more information, either contact our loan inquiry at Craft 3 with Clallam BRL in the subject line, or contact me, and I'll put both of those in the chat box. And I'm done here.
Great. Thanks so much, Erica. Does anyone have any questions for Erica? Okay. If not, thank you. And we will move on to, how about First Security? Daryl, do you want to take it?
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you so much. So I'm Daryl Jenkins, First Security Bank, and like most of the lenders here, we've been heavily involved this year with the SBA PPP loans. And so that's been a lot of fun, being able to help folks in the community stay employed. But we have a lot of interest on our traditional commercial lending side as well, now that the dust is kind of settled. So just briefly, I wanted to talk about 3 simple products that we offer. So we offer a business credit card starting at $5,000 up to $30,000. For some entities, that's the fastest, the easiest way to go. Of course, we also do the SBA lending. Typically, the rate on that is based on prime. So after we get a look at their relationship, we look at their financials, we can kind of assess, is that going to be prime +1? Is it going to be prime -1? So we don't necessarily have a plug and play rate. We have to kind of look at the whole situation. If we need to get creative, we can do that. For example, on our conventional lending side, we are more than happy to look at lines of credit or fixed term loans as well, whether it's $30,000 or $30 million. A lot of people have been very aware of their high interest rates over the last few years. So we've been doing a lot of owner-occupied commercial building refinancing. So we'll look at that all day long, obviously. But in addition to that, folks need equipment loans, business vehicle loans, working capital, all of the above, just like all of you folks have already discussed. I would just like to say that my particular area is focused on the peninsula. So if you want someone to really kind of hug your client, if you will, and make them really feel a part of what's happening on the peninsula, that's what I do. So that's my specific region. We're very much a relationship bank. I bring the bank to them. I don't expect them to come to me in the office. I go right to them and really get a full picture of what they need and how we can assess and meet that. So if anything, just remember that we can do creative commercial lending for sure.
Great. Thanks, Daryl. If you'll put your contact information in the chat, that would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So next up, how about Sound Community Bank? Oh, let's see. We have some. Yep. Okay. We just have some contact information in the chat for everyone. And I'll be sure to save this, and if anybody has any questions, I can provide you all the information from the chat or send it out. All right. Dave, are you going to take it?
Good morning. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
My name is Dave Rainey. I'm the Chief Banking Officer for Sound Community Bank. And I've got our commercial banking team lead, Mike Ralph, on the line, who will speak more formally to what we have to offer. I would, similar to Daryl's comments, I would say that, you know, Sound Community Bank is a local bank. Our CEO is from Sequim. We've got 2 offices in Sequim, 1 in Port Angeles, 1 in Port Ludlow. Chief Credit Officer lives on the peninsula, most of our board of directors. So we're very much a local relationship bank. You know, we are focused only on, you know, our communities, Olympic Peninsula and a little bit over here in the Seattle market. Very proud of our efforts in PPP. I think we funded more loans than any other bank on the Olympic Peninsula. So that was really our first line of defense, if you will, as well as just a team of local relationship managers and underwriters that are trying to work with borrowers, and you know, flexibility is the key. Mike, maybe you could speak to a little more what you're seeing specifically on the commercial front right now.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, so as Dave mentioned, we truly are a community bank. I feel I've only been here for a year. I've had about a almost 30-year career in commercial banking, a few large banks. I see my old buddy Jason Gill on the phone on there. Jason and I worked together at US Bank, God, probably 25 years ago. I think, Jason, good to see you again. So, you know, when we say, you know, a lot of banks say we work with small to medium-sized businesses. Here at Sound, I think we really focus on the small business. Some of the banks I've worked at, we kind of emphasize the medium business because the small business doesn't sound as sexy or whatever adjective you like to use. I think here at Sound, we truly are a community bank, as Dave mentioned. We focus on those businesses surrounding our branches, the business owners, and the community members within those areas. You know, I'm headquartered in Seattle, and on the Seattle team, we have 4 lenders. Historically, we focus primarily a lot of real estate just because the market has been so good here in Seattle. We're a fairly active construction lender. We currently have almost about 40 active construction projects ongoing right now. So that's been somewhat challenging through COVID times here, managing all those construction projects with basically three or 4 lenders, especially during the shutdown. So we don't necessarily have loan programs similar to CRAP 3 and NDC mentioned. I think it's great that those organizations have specific programs, especially some of the relief programs. I think we'll certainly be looking for those partners for some of our clients that need some assistance. We really look at the businesses on a holistic level, similar to what Daryl was saying. Everything we do is pretty much custom underwritten, custom structure, depending on what that client needs. You know, we're all familiar with regulations, so within those regulation boundaries, we try to get creative or somewhat creative as we can to help our clients. Dave mentioned PPP. That like many of the bankers on the call today, that was a pretty stressful time for a lot of us. Looking back, I think we're all pretty proud of what we were able to accomplish for such a small bank. I think we did 361 loans in Clallam County, a little over $20 million, which was pretty remarkable for a bank of our size. The average loan size was about $55,000, so we truly were lending to those smaller businesses that needed that assistance. In the Seattle market, our average size was more about $90,000, and we did have one loan that was $5 million, so that kind of was an outlier there. But we're pretty active in helping those small businesses. It's been good because not a lot of people know about us, outside of some of our, smaller branch networks. So we were able to, gather some more deposits from that PP program, help some other small businesses. But again, I guess our message today is, hey, we're just truly a community bank, serving those local communities. We're here as a resource. If something's not a great fit for us, I'm happy to refer it to other banks that might be a better fit. Just in recap, we can lend up to roughly, say, $13–14 million, although our average loan size is probably anywhere between $250,000 and $2 or $3 million is kind of where most of our loans fall in that range. I mentioned we have six lenders, myself and 3 other lenders here in Seattle. We have Sean Spencer, who covers Tacoma and the Kitsap Peninsula. And we have Athena Dunn, who she's based in Swim and covers the Olympic Peninsula. So anyway, I don't want to keep rambling on too much. Again, if anybody has any questions or want to reach out to us, Dave and I will put our contact info in the chat box as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So before we get on to the next person, I want, since I have you all on the line, I would love to get information from you after everybody presents, because commissioners have received an additional $1.5 million from the coronavirus relief funds from the state. And they are trying to determine how best to spend that in support of people that have been impacted by COVID-19 and the public health emergency. So we've been doing grants at the EDC and between the different programs, CDBG, the Lifeboat Grant, and Working Washington grants, we will process about $1 million worth of small business grants, running from the smallest the state did was $778 to the larger size was $10,000. But our county has also received $762,000 in just one tranche of funding for rent relief for people that are potentially facing eviction. And so what I'm trying to determine now and help them with, and I know I see John Nutter on here from the Port of Port Angeles, we're trying to determine where that money should best be spent. I mean, they're looking at childcare, they're looking at, rent relief, utility relief, business relief. But one area that we know has not really been supported is landlords, or entities that, have multiple tenants, whether it be commercial or residential. And love to hear from you all if you're seeing, I know there aren't, there's a push by the FDIC to not turn loans into troubled debt assets. I don't know if I have that term right, but a lot of loans are being deferred. I'd love to hear from you whether you think, each of you, what your opinion is on the need to help out that element of Clallam County citizens that maybe have some commercial loans and where they're renting out those properties, and should some funding go there? Are you seeing a lot of defaults or deferrals, that kind of thing? What's in your crystal ball? So we'll address that at the end. So I did that right now so you guys wouldn't jump off before we're finished here, and see if I can gather some of that information from you. But with that, I will ask that maybe First Federal go next. So I see Matt Dynas, the CEO from First Federal, with us. Welcome, Matt, and thank you for joining us. Do you want to take it, or do you have someone?
I think, thanks, Colleen. I think Jason Gill is actually going to talk to you guys a little about the program. I just want to say briefly, as far as any of the potential deferrals or other situations, if there's something that people need in terms of working on their credits, if they're having tenants that are not able to pay or having other challenges, we're here for you, and we want to work with you. And whatever you need, we are going to be here as the source. As so many of you know, we've been on here on the peninsula for the last 97 years. We have the largest footprint, we have the largest deposit market, and we're here for you. And so whatever you need, please let us know. I mean, Jason's going to tell you about some of the options, some of the programs that we're working on that we're really excited about. But I also want you to know that we can customize options for you. We want to hear from you. We want to listen to you. We want to know what you need to help you through this difficult time. And so there's some green shoots out there. There's some positive news that we're seeing, but I know there's many companies who are struggling and that are having challenges, and that's why we're here. So I'm going to let Jason take it from here and talk about specifics, but just know if you're a current customer of First Fed and you need help, please reach out to us. If you're not a customer of First Fed and need some help, please reach out to us. We're happy to help you. We have many programs that we can work with you and try to help you get through this challenging time. And Jason, I will let you take it from here.
Great. Thanks so much, Matt. I just, with that, I want to add that there are many programs out there. So where, for example, the rent relief program is 3 months of free rent if the applicant qualifies. So if you have some landlords that are having trouble paying their normal monthly loan, because their tenants aren't paying rent, there is this program, and we have that on our website, Choose Clallam First. And so I know that it's not being utilized very much. Again, $762,000 just for Clallam County for that. And I think they've done 7 different grants for tenants. So, they have $650,000 plus more that they have available, and it has to be spent by the end of November. So we need to get that word out and make sure the money's distributed in Clallam County, otherwise it'll go back to the state. So thanks for letting me interject with that. Jason, will you go ahead and take it? Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Colleen, and appreciate being here. As Matt said, with First Federal Bank, we've been around 97 years on the Olympic Peninsula, really embraced lending in the downturn. I think we are one of the more aggressive lenders out there during the downturn. And specifically, I wanted to talk today about Main Street lending. I know that Daryl at First Security Bank and Sound Community Bank are both great banks as well. All of the banks that are on this call can do the SBA programs like the 7As and the 504s. One thing that we've embraced really to support the community is Main Street lending. And that's a program put out by the Boston Fed. It's a national program. It's designed for those companies that were, rock solid in 2019 and then could have been, relatively devastated. We're looking at some really, tough loans. But the unique structure of the program is such that it works for borrowers that were solid in 2019. There are absolutely no payments required for the first 12 months. Interest is accrued, but there are no outgoing payments. Year 2 is an interest-only payment, and year 3 is interest only until the end of year 3, at which point 15% of the principal is required to be retired. It's a 5-year program. And it's at a relatively low interest rate. Every single deal is done at the same rate. It's all at LIBOR 300, which is approximately 3.25%. And so we're one of only 9 banks that are in the state of Washington that have publicly stated that we're supporting Main Street. We're one of a little over 500 banks nationally that have publicly supported Main Street. And we've really found it to be really beneficial to those companies. Again, similar to Melissa and Erica, we're looking for good, solid companies as of 12/31/2019. If you were profitable, had a decent balance sheet, would love to take a look at these opportunities. And, if your business was even materially impacted, this unique structure can work for you, because you really only start making payments of any consequence at the end of year 3. And before that, there's a 12-month grace period, and then a 2-year interest only period. The use of funds can be for just about anything except putting money in owners' pockets. We've done, a lot of working capital loans. We've done expansion loans. We've done loans for people that are expanding their business and actually were just temporarily negatively impacted by COVID, and now we're expanding. We've done loans for, support, or we're about to do some loans for businesses that are forecasting losses for the next 12 months. But we're solid and good businesses as of the 12/31/2019. I think that, pretty much encompasses the program. I'm happy to put in the chat box my contact information. We've seen a tremendous amount of volume on this Main Street product. We probably got somewhere between 12 applications in process. We've funded 1. I think we were one of the first banks in the whole state of Washington to fund, and we have 2 more that are going to fund in the next couple of weeks.
And I just want to add, Jason is one of the leaders and one of the experts in the state of Washington on this program. We've had a number of other financial institutions who have come to us for information, and Jason has been able to help them. He's been involved in this program since before it was rolled out by the Fed, and he's had an opportunity to look at dozens of deals and can really give you a quick answer on whether or not your particular business qualifies or would be one that might be a good fit for Main Street. It's not for everyone, but it is for many companies. And so I think it's well worth your time to reach out to Jason and find out if your business or another business that you work with might benefit from Main Street. And he can let you know in short order. And then assuming that you do fit, he can help you through that process. It's a little bit interesting to be partnering with the Federal Reserve. But I will tell you that we've figured it out, and we've got the processes and the folks in place, the expertise to make it happen. So by all means, please reach out to Jason. He will post his information here in the chat box, and let him know, even if it's not for your business, if it's someone else that you know that really is looking for some help and who had a very strong business at the end of the year prior to COVID, he definitely is the one to talk to.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Matt. So, Jason, I see a couple questions in the chat box. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw those questions in the chat box. So most of the questions seem to be around the size of the business that we're looking for. So that's going to be limited by the minimum size of the Main Street loan program. So the minimum size of Main Street lending is $250,000, and we're doing up to a 6 multiple of cash flow in 2019. So let's just say ballpark figures. If your business was producing $50,000 or greater in cash flow as of 12/31/2019, would be interested in looking at the request. On the upside, the really, for all intents and purposes, is no limitation there. That we've done. We're currently looking at a loan at $23 million. We've had a request at 30, and the program doesn't really cap out until you get to 50. Because of the real unique structure of us selling down 95% of our exposure, we can take a look at some really big numbers and deliver on those as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. As I look around and I see the people watching, I know there's at least 4 people here that would consider some type of loan and are actively, right now I'm working with a couple that are looking for the right loan product to meet their needs. So thank you. And does anybody else have any questions for Jason about the Main Street Loan Program? If not, we will move on to Julie Hatch with Kitsap Bank.
Hi, Colleen, and everybody on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I apologize. I cannot get my video to work this morning. I don't know what's wrong. So I'm Julie Hatch, VP Business Development Officer with Kitsap Bank. Most of you know Kitsap Bank's been around 112 years. We are a true community bank. We're not traded on the stock market. We're not publicly traded. And we are a woman-owned bank. Located in Kitsap, Jefferson, Clallam, Pierce, and just a small footprint in North King. One of the things I'm really proud of here is the amount of commitment, support we give back to our communities. Annually, we're giving about $450,000 in sponsorships and donations. And one of the awesome things for this year is everything we approved last year for commitments this year, we have honored. So whether the nonprofits are holding their events or not, we're still supporting them with the commitment we made. We were also very active with the PPP loans. We did just shy of 1,000 loans in that very short period of time. So we're very proud of all the effort that the bank put into that and the service we gave to all the community members that we helped out. So that's been really great. Like most of the banks that have presented, again, being a community bank, our commercial loan program is pretty much what fits the need of the client. We're really connecting with the clients, building that relationship, and trying to make a good fit for the type of loan that they need. So we're doing the lines of credit, the installment loans. We do the SBA 504 and the 7A USDA. So it's a matter of, I think Daryl said it too, is gathering all the information, really working closely, whether it's in the office or at the place of business, to find the best fit. It may be a combination of a couple of loans, but the rates, we don't have stated rates because it's based on prime and the strength of the borrower. So the better the strength of the borrower, the better the rates. So we're just really, we have very much experts in the field, and very proud of the work we're doing to help the community. So.
All right, great. Thank you, Julie. So do all the banks that presented today offer SBA and 704, 7A and 504 loans? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. All right. I wish our board chair was able to be on. He's on vacation right now. He's a banker with he was the CEO of numerous banks and is a SBA preferred lender, Brian Garrett. And so he's really knowledgeable in this space. And I think he'd be excited to hear that all the banks are offering those type of loan products today. Because I know historically it's been more, am I right about this? Key Bank and Kitsap have been in that space, but it really seems like our local banks are really trying to offer as many types of loan products as possible that have the federal, I know it's more complicated from a regulatory standpoint, but oftentimes in the end it's good for a small business because of the guarantees that the SBA offers. So I thank you all for that. I think that's exciting to know. And it shows a true commitment to the businesses in Clallam County and on the Olympic Peninsula. So did we hit everybody? I hope we did. I think we did, yep. Let's see, we are now at what time here? 8:48. And oh, what I'd love to go around and ask you about, if you have any information about whether or not you feel that part of that $1.5 million that the county commissioners have received, should part of that go towards landlords? And are you seeing distressed loans? Are you seeing a lot of deferred loans? Can you describe what you're seeing today from Clallam County? And if not, if you wouldn't mind just sharing, if you're more comfortable sharing that with us through an email or something, or a phone call, that would be great as well. But by next Monday, they've asked me and a few others to give them some input as to whether or not that's a need, and should they put some funding there that would be specifically targeted to for landlords that have commercial loans, that perhaps since the tenants aren't required to make rental payments, that they are in distress. So does anybody have any input for that? No, maybe?
Well, so Dave Rainey, just anecdotally from what I've seen so far, I have to say I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't seen more of a weakness in this area. I would speculate that maybe the stimulus is helping a little bit with this, but it's something we're definitely watching very closely. And thus far, I've been pleasantly surprised, for what it's worth.
Okay.
I would have thought it would have been a bigger issue at this point.
I did talk to Terry James, who runs James and Associates, and he has over 1,000 tenants, 700 units that they manage. And he said that they have, he was going to go through to get exact information for me, but only about 10 different properties right now where the tenants have not been paying, that it's more than 90 days in arrears. So, you know, that was good news, 10 out of 1,000. That's pretty impressive. But of course, people have been getting the $600 per week through August. And then now, if they continually were applying for the unemployment, they would have gotten a $1,500 check just recently for the last 5 weeks. So when that expires, maybe things are going to change. But I don't know if the timing will work out for the funding that the county has. And you know, from your all's perspective, if you were sitting in the county commissioner's shoes, what would you be thinking about where they should be spending some of that money? Don't all talk at the same time.
Well, I guess, Colleen, thanks for asking. This is Erica, and let me see if I can turn. I think, yeah, I don't envy them being in the position of trying to figure out how to put this money out so fast. I do think that there is value in looking at the landlord support, as long as it can be, you know, tracked in that to ensure that that's getting passed through to the tenants who are viable businesses and are planning on staying, you know, and continuing to be in business. Whether or not that can happen within the time frame that these monies have to be deployed is the question, I think. Though, you know, I do think business grant support is beneficial if it can be in a more a little bit more of a what do you call it, rigorous application process, so that you know, the use of funds can be very targeted to getting through the pandemic, you know, because I think more larger disbursements, grant amounts that is, would help a lot of businesses if they can use it in a very targeted fashion to get them through this downturn. I think it's doing a lot of grants, small amounts, to a broad swath when there's not the resilience in some people's business models, I think might be. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. We had 620 applications in the first round of the Working Washington grants that we funded, and we only fund 48 grant applications. So the good side of that is that enabled us to have a conduit to talk to a bunch of business owners that felt that they were in distress. And some of these follow-on grant programs, the community development block grants that are $4,000, where they get technical assistance from the Center for Inclusive Entrepreneurship that helps the really small micro enterprises. But oftentimes the grants are limited in size, of course, amount, but also it's limited to businesses that are 10 employees or fewer, that kind of thing. We are really know that supporting Blackball is critically important at this point, and I advocated for, and the county commissioners are supporting $500,000 going to Blackball. Their run rate is $200,000 to $250,000 a month, and right now, while they're not operating, and there's about 1,000 jobs that rely on that company in just our county alone. And so that's one area that I think they're going to fund, and I know the port is working on deferral of rent and has approved that, and probably forgiving some of the rent to support them as well. But we're trying to see what the bigger picture will look like going forward for them. And then on the other side of the straits, the city of Victoria has also deferred rent, but we're hoping that the state some of their funding in towards it, because obviously it's a big nut for them to get through this. Let's see, I think there was, I'm sorry, Kai Alberg is here with us, and he had raised his hand and has a question for everyone. Kai?
Thank you. Well, it was more a comment on your last request for suggestions. I think Blackball is certainly one of our highest, if not the highest priority, and I would strongly support the lion's share of the money going to keeping them afloat. I think for the rest of it, would look at a couple of things. One, as you mentioned, where the government restrictions and grants in the past have fallen inequitably on different businesses, such as tenants have been told they don't have to pay rent, but then there's no help for the landlords. How are they supposed to make their property tax and mortgage payments if they get no rent and they get no subsidies? That's one thing one should look at. Now, if over 80% of that 762,000 has not been utilized and the word is out, maybe that pot of money is enough. But I think we want to look at the owners of the buildings that our businesses operate in to see if they need help. I think the other thing we might want to look at is businesses that by business group are more impacted long-term than others, as in long-term shutdowns or not be able to operate. I'm thinking about businesses like bars, gyms, and just to the nature of the COVID rules. Many of them probably, I know from personal experience, some friends of ours, they have a rainy day fund. They're good people. They don't want to rely on government help. They have enough money to get through the first 6 months. But if the restrictions continue and they can't reopen their business, or in the hospitality industry where most of the money is made in the summer and now we get into the fall, maybe they made it through August, September if they're a restaurant, but then when they get to December, January, February, they might have a hard time making it to the next spring, summer season. So I would look at those seasonal businesses, and I would look at those that are particularly harshly impacted by shutdown regulations, as far as looking where the rest of that money should go to keep the maximum number of businesses alive through next summer.
Yes, thanks, Kai. At the we have another coming forward probably another $400,000 or $500,000 that we will be processing in grants, and we are specifically looking at those businesses that are the most hardest hit, you know, caterers, and that have all sorts of equipment and supplies for that. And but also we're considering, though, is this a business where they need some support to bridge through this pandemic? Or is this something where we're just, you know, funding an organization that there's no way they can get through? And so we look at that through different lenses. It's a tough call to make, and so I'm really glad that I have a strong group of 8 people that represent nonprofits and the 3 different cities, the 3 major chambers, and they are giving the input, and it's a tough call to make, but we've created a system that works pretty well so far. So Julie, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to go back to yesterday when you and I spoke. I reached out to our department that does the collections on the loans and deals with deferral requests and that type of thing. And like Dar said, I was surprised that there weren't more delinquencies. We didn't have any delinquencies, but what I found out was the people in that department were not familiar. There's people that are struggling, and a lot of people will make their home payments before they'll put food on the table to keep their roof over their head. So what I did with that department, I gave them tools of who they can tell our clients to reach out to for the help that we're talking about today, whether it's rent referral, because they weren't familiar with that. They're not in that arena that we are, where we hear of all the different sources that are providing funds to help people, whether it's business or individuals. So I think I would challenge the other bankers to make sure your people can give that information to their clients. And adding to that, a little bit different, but with the money that's out there, is there a way that a part of that, a small piece, could be used for some really heavy social blasts, whether it's newspaper, radio, social media, so that people are aware of it? Because I know, Colleen, when we spoke, you were amazed at the amount of money that's left on the table that maybe people don't know it's there for them.
Mm-hmm. So thanks, Julie. Great points. I'll tell you that we created the Choose Clallam First campaign, and we've been able to reach out to 62,000 Facebook users in Clallam County, and apparently there's 69,000. And this is not because I've done a great job. I barely get on Facebook, to be honest with you, but I've got a terrific team that knows a lot about it and is learning more about it every day. So I put in the chat box the Choose Clallam First site. So for those of you, it's a resource where we are trying to pull in the utility resources. And I know the city of Port Angeles will have more funding in that shortly, because they've received a bit more funding from the state for the coronavirus relief funds. There's also the next round of CDBG funds that are coming out for our county. It's about $500,000, but that is targeted for people that are in low to moderate income. But for some of your landlords, their tenants, residential tenants may often be low to moderate income. So those are resources there for rent and for, you know, the food banks and for utilities. The PUD has right now, I'm going to get the number wrong, but it's around $50,000 that they have available for utility relief. So those are resources. So if you're hearing from, you know, this is kind of a trickle down, but if your landlords are having problems, make sure that they know that these are resources. And if you find out about other resources, please let me know, and we'll be sure to post it on that COVID-19 response page for Clallam County. So I see that we are past 9 a.m. Is there anyone that wanted to add any last moment comments? If not, we will call it a morning. Going once, going twice. All right.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Colleen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you, everyone.
Colleen.
Have a great morning.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Hi, Patty. I saw your text at the end there. I wanted to share with you, I've been working with Nikki and I've been working with Colleen, and they created that requirement to, you know, you would go out and at what level would they allow people to use the funds that are available.
Yeah.
And, that was completely created by Clallam County, by the market.
Yeah.
So I am suggesting that they amend that contract and do it quickly. So
Yeah.
they can, for one, if, you know, instead of just helping someone for 1 month, help them for 3 months.
Exactly.
And otherwise, we're going to have to give those funds back to the state. And
Yeah.
this is something that we're working on right now.
Good, because I hate to see money go back.
Me too. That's the last thing.
Use it. We got to find a way to use that money. And I know there's people, you know, that are hurting but you know, we all have, but yes, it is hard to quantify it. And they ought to be able to come up with something where that money can stay here.
Mm-hmm. And we are, you know, we're boosting our posts. We're putting things out on KONP and PDN.
Yeah, I've seen it advertised well.
Yeah, so we're going to keep on doing that and try to, you know, allow this to be a resource for folks.
Yeah.
This money out.
Hey, Colleen.
Yeah, I was just surprised at how little had gone out.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't know about it, and if I don't know about it, then others don't. So
it's crazy.
Though we're really pushing it out there. As same with the Serenity House program.
Yeah.
That has 762,000, and then plus they have another for this program, and then OLECAP has 200, and so getting that word out quickly is so critical because this money will have to go back at the end of November.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you're doing a great job. I have to tell you, I've never seen, so much activity. And actually, I'm going to recommend to the realtors, because what you did today was really good with the financing, because, people don't have the time to go around trying to find out what's available.
Right.
So that's really
four groups right now. One is potentially 50 jobs if we get it going. And so, they were listening in, so it really will save quite a bit of time, I hope.
Yeah, no, it's great. Very good. All right, I don't want to take any more of your time. I just thought I figured you knew that. But...
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it, Patricia. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Colleen.
Yes. Hi, Debbie.
Hey, the reason I put the comment about the junior water districts, is because I have one landlord that they're basically paying their rent, but they have fallen behind on their utilities to like Dry Creek, and that's a share that's owned, by that landlord. Yeah. And if that utilities doesn't get caught up, he loses the share and may never be able to get it back.
So I'll talk to Cindy Kelly.
Yeah, she's the one that,
It's between Cindy Kelly and Connie Beauvais. Who else should I be talking to?
Let's see. Well, Cindy's Dry Creek. Connie is Joyce.
Yeah.
Black Diamond Water District. I don't know who's in charge of that anymore.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, I'm just seeing that and seeing what Patty wrote, that, only $5,000 has been used by the PUD.
Right.
I mean.
Well, they did not they haven't done a good job of advertising it. And the other thing is that, in my view, and the other thing is that historically, the PUD has never taken on this role, unlike the city of Port Angeles, that loves to be able to have funding, LIHEAP funding and the rest for individuals that can't afford their utility payments. So what the PUD has always done is said, go to OLICAP. Get that, they'll help you, they can give you money and then use that money to pay us. But these federal programs require the utility provider to actually offer the grant. And so it's just not something that they've done in the past. And so now they are doing it, but they, you know, the individuals are not used to working with the PUD for assistance like this. Right. So, and also OLICAP's primarily, in my view, been focused on Jefferson County. So we, you know, that's where their headquarters is. And so we now, this is something new for the PUD. So I think we'll improve as time goes on, but you know, we do have a looming deadline.
Right. Oh, there was something else I wanted to